Hi, my name is Virginia, and this is Dr. Borky Knits. My name is Virginia, and this is Dr. Borky Knits. I am a longtime knitter, currently living in Washington in the Pacific Northwest. I have been knitting for many years, and I've always wanted to make a podcast. I actually did the first one when I recently went to Rhinebeck, and I said, okay, this is going to be my first one. I went to Rhinebeck, was always a goal of mine because I'm from the West Coast. But the technology was beyond me, to be honest, but my daughters are home from college, and they are going to help me to get this as presentable as possible. So I thought I would make my first video about everything I knit in 2024. But a little bit about me. First, my handle, as you know, is Dr. Borky Knits. I am a doctor. I am an internist, primary care doctor, and I've been practicing for 30 years. And I'm currently, and actually this is my office, because I am currently a telemedicine doctor. So I get to work from home, which I never thought would be an option for me in medicine. I have 3 kids. There's only one who lives with me, and he is my son, who is in high school here locally. And I have 2 daughters who go to university in Texas. We did live in Texas for about 10 years, and I actually just moved to Washington about a year ago. So I love watching knitting YouTube videos. I want to just throw myself out there and give it a shot, just so that I can have some back and forth comments maybe, and reaching out to our knitting society, which I feel is amazing and small for the fact that we live in such a big country. Many of us see some of the same videos and YouTube producers, and so I want to have some back and forth with our community. Okay, so I knitted, I believe, 15 garments this year, 2 of which are shirts, and the rest, 2 of which are cardigans, and the rest are pullovers. I lived in Texas, as I mentioned, so all of my sweaters were short sleeve, so I could try to get the most wear out of them. This is actually the festival sweater from Petite Knit. I knit it a year or 2 ago. This is Explorer Knits and Fibers yarn. And this is just something from that I felt like went well with it, just from my stash, some leftover. So I will start with my first sweater, which is the Robina sweater. I've seen a lot of these done this year, and I did mine with knitted in yarn. And so this was a white knitted in and a pink knitted in, and then held with corresponding mohair. Let's see what I did the size 3X on 4.5 and 4 millimeter needles. And I really love this. So I love knitted in. It's just so thick and fluffy. And it is extremely warm. So I highly recommend this pattern. It goes very well with a thick yarn. And I just think this is so pretty, and it's not hard to make at all, especially if you are a new time colorwork knitter. There's just a short amount of colorwork, stitches, and then you can do just the pink and then just the white. So it's not too overwhelming. Okay, so next was, or is, my Crabea. This is the Corin cardigan. I did a size silk, size 6. And this is knit with a Texan yarn producer, dyer, hand knit dyer named Wanderluck Fiber. It's worsted. And what I like about tonal hand knits is just the variation in the color. It's not just a solid blue piece. You do get some variability in it. And it's a navy. Again, this is a easy knit to make. I highly recommend it. And it's not complicated at all. So I guess it's a drop shoulder. Okay, the next is a shoreline sweater. This is a size 7 and DK. It is done in another hand-dyed yarn. I really loved I love hand-dyed yarn. Ooh, I got it inside out. Flip it around. So this is long dog yarn, and I believe this color is How Dare You Come to Me Now. But I'll check on that. So the shoreline tee, actually let me bring it up here, is by, I believe, Brianna Lugo. Here it is. I'm sorry, shoreline sweater. And she does actually have it short sleeve on her sample as well. So it's the Little Wolf Knits Designs. And what I like about it is that it is, all over ribbing, except for the stockinette that you see in the sleeves. And I like this because it's more form-fitting. So if you have, baggier pants, it looks good with baggier pants because this is more snug and the ribbing just pulls it in where it needs to be pulled in and stretches where it needs to be stretched. And so this is speckled and lavender. So my favorite colors are pink and lavender and purple. And so I just wanted this just plain, show off the yarn. I think it's so pretty. Okay, and then next is my velvet sweater by Andrea Mowry. I think this is so pretty. So, this is made with Mother Pearl by Wandering Flock. So it's in fingering and it's just so soft. Actually, this is sport. I use 3 skeins for this. So basically, I have a 48 inch bust. So I usually make around that. So I don't have the sizes on all of that, but after knitting for so long, I know my dimensions. So I know from here to here how many inches I want, around how many inches I want the bust. So this was one that I was running out of yarn. And so I just did I guess these would be called 3/4 sleeves or elbow. So these are, and the mohair is actually alpaca, English rose from another Texan dyer, red stag fiber. And less than one skein was used. I mean, less than one skein. Most of it is still left for me to use again. In fact, I think it's right here. I highly recommend, if you've never heard of Red Stag Fiber, and his wife owns The Modern Skein, which is a local yarn shop in Texas, Conroe, Texas. They're just moving sites, and she has such a good collection. Here I am in Washington, and I still feel like she's my local yarn shop. So you should go check her out if you feel like you want to purchase anything that's not available to you in your area. Okay, so let's see what is next. Okay, so next, actually, I started the Instant Crush by Joji Locatelli, alpaca, Surrey. And then literally the rest of the colors were colors that I just had in stash. So this was some leftover Fuafua from Moondrake. Yeah, Moondrake. This pink was something that I just had. That's from Ito. And to be honest, I don't think I would ever use that again. I literally, just to get, the same sort of density, at the same gauge and the same, the same type of stitches, I had to use, this is actually 3 skeins held together. So it just kind of left me wanting, something a little bit more from the yarn, versus like the green is just, 2 held together. So this year, as I said, moved to Washington, so I really wanted to bump up my long sleeve sweater. And I just think this pattern is so pretty. I actually knit it as a knit along with another one of my favorite podcasters. Her name is The Naughty Mess. And her name is Megan. And she lives here in Washington as well. So she was doing a knit along with this, and I had my friend participate in it because we were choosing sweaters to wear to Rhinebeck that matched, and this was one of them. So we did that together. And then the next one is the Perfect Cardigan. So this was a test knit. Was a horrible test knitter. I didn't provide her with the pictures at the end. I was going out of town, and so don't pick me to be one of your test knitters. Not good. I completed it in March, and it is also done with knitted in. I did finish. This was the first time I've done buttons, believe it or not. And so this is knitted in, and it's held with a really, so this is just white knitted in. In case you don't know, knitted in is, you buy them in big, they're called plates, and it's unspun yarn. I learned about it from other podcasters, and so, and I love it, and it's very affordable, even with shipping. And because it's thick, unspun yarn, a little bit goes a long way. So, I held this with a mohair from Beachy Breeze Fibers, and I just think it's so pretty, and I think it went really well with the cuff detail, and also that detail is on the hem as well. So this is called the Perfect Cardigan, and let me see who was the maker. She's a new maker. It is Trudy Fedorko, Trudy, and her last name is Fedorko. she actually, it finally came into Ravelry in September. This was, one of her, like I said, either the first or one of the first patterns, and it's really nice. It's really oversized. So she is a yarn store owner from Texas as well. It's out of Waxahachie, Texas, and they dye their own yarn there, and it's gorgeous. But they also have other yarn makers. Oh, the next one was by now we're starting to get into a couple of summer knits, and I really like this one. It is the Uptown Tea by Tori Yu, and this is also knit in Explorer knits and fibers. It is a fingering, and I just thought it looks so pretty with this lace sleeve. I really like just the rolling hem. I don't even think this is a I-cord. Yeah, this is definitely I-cord Bondi on the sleeves. I did the size. Looks like size 4. That's a 46 inch, but I'm a really loose knitter, so I've learned with time to go down a size than what I would according to the patterns, because I do not swatch anything. I just hate spending that time and yarn on that. Okay, so then I did my last t-shirt, which is the Stripey Turtle Tank by Emily Curtis. The main color is West 7th Wool Mossy Hill, and it's just so pretty. And I just want more of this forest green to make a full, complete sweater. And so the stripes are several different yarns from Stash with Red Stag. Again, I believe the Red Stag fiber is the gray here and the beige. And then Wanderlust fibers again, the Texas dyer is, and also Hedgehog. So the Hedgehog, I believe, is the bright pink. So my daughters and I wanted to, this was actually another knit along from Megan of the Naughty Mess Knitting Podcast for Flock, a big yarn festival here in Seattle, Washington. And it happens in August. So prior to that, they were doing knit along so that we could meet up and take pictures, which I can pop here. And I'm wearing it. My other daughter's wearing it. My daughters loved making this, as not as advanced knitters. I don't think it had short rows. And one of my daughters just does not like to do short rows. So that is obviously for warm weather wear. Then I did Lodestar. I'll write it here, by Kirsten Rovetta. And I made this out of a new to me dyer called Hazel Knits. What's interesting about this is that I bought this yarn when I saw it in Washington, D.C. And it wasn't until I got home that I said, oh my goodness, this is a Washington dyer. And here I am on the East Coast buying it, and I'm a West Coast person. And she's actually, local to me. So in this, it's just so pretty. So I saw this on Ravelry and I wanted to knit it. And the problem is I think you have to buy the full book to get it. It was part of a magazine, and I liked it so much, and I just said, forget it. I just got it, even though I didn't really need all the other patterns, but maybe one day I'll make something. So this is also, 3/4 sleeve, and because I knew this wasn't going to be something that I would wear during the winter, as it has these lace, panels in the star motif. I do have a picture of myself in it, so I can also put that here. But just the color is so pretty to me. It's like this orange and then reddish. And I know this is something they do have on their online website store. One thing that I did notice in this one, as well as some of the others, is I am just not the best with make ones. I always feel like you could totally see where those are, across the whole thing. And that's a problem that I have with my knitting. I'm going to have to try a different way, even if it's not the way that's described, to do it in the pattern. Another thing I learned from this is so many of these knits, I can never tell what's the front and the back. And the last thing I want to do as someone who's OCD is put a tag in the back, because then it's going to be rubbing me and bothering me. Is the way you can tell in this one is that the neckline is longer in the back than in the front. So it actually goes like this. And that's an easy way, just with a couple of short rows along the back, to not only help it, run higher in the back than the front, that you could really do to any pattern. And I really need to start, doing that, because sometimes I can never tell. And the next was Badger and Bloom. This is also done in just Nudiden yarn, period, held double. Nudiden, as I mentioned, is an unspun yarn, and from someone who lives in Norway. And they have very interesting names for their yarn. So that's why I'm just saying brown and gray, because they are all in their native language. And so it's very difficult to say them in English, and I wouldn't even try. So this is Badger and Bloom. So let me see who makes this. By this time of the year, I always start not writing good notes. And then I always start up good in January, and by the mid-end of the year. Okay, so this is by Anne Wenzel. And I just think it's so pretty. And so this along with my, the first one that I showed you, which is also Nudiden, are my warmest knits. I really think this is so pretty. And this one, actually, the short rows are in the body after the yoke is done. And it's another one that I find hard to tell which is the front and which is the back. So, okay. And let's see. The next one was another one that my friend and I wanted to knit for Rhinebeck. And it is the Avena. Now, I actually had it in my queue to knit for a long time. And when my friend mentioned it as a choice to wear to Rhinebeck, I said, okay, let's go. So this is also knit in Wandering Flock as the main color. I love her yarn. She's all about, pastels and solid, beautiful colors. And so this is the colorway for a yarn shop called Wild Hand. It's their shop colorway, Wild Hand. And you can only buy it at the store. So somehow I saw it online, and then I went and at their, on their online shop and bought it because I just really loved it. So again, also, the colorway is just, actually, this is the same pink that I used here in my Stripey Turtle Tank by Emily Curtis. I don't think I said that. And then some orange from Chelsea Lux, that I wanted to do kind of a, actually in the pattern, there's kind of like a fade where it goes darker to lighter. So, it says finished bust circumference. I'm sure I did the 47.5 or the 50. It all depends on what I'm feeling is necessary. So I probably did the 50 because of the fact that when I do color work yokes, it's just also can be so tight, and that just, restricts your wear. Now this one, I was running out of yarn again. You'd think I'd learn, but I don't. And so these are also 3/4 of a sleeve, 3/4 sleeve. So I'm going to have to start buying another skein. I always usually buy just 5 skeins for sweater quantity of DK. So clearly it's not enough for my size. But nevertheless, because this is all in DK, it is, and then it's double through here. It is definitely quite warm. So I've gotten a lot of use of this. So that's one of the reasons we chose Washington when we were moving from Texas, is because of the weather. We wanted to get out of Texas's humidity and heat, and even though we love the community and we love the people, we wanted to just say, okay, we're ready for cool and rainy. Washington is your place if you want that. Okay, so then I started, so that one was another one that my friend and I wore together, different colors, same pattern, in Rhinebeck. And if you've never been to Rhinebeck or a big yarn festival, that is what people do. So I don't know who it was in my family who was kind of laughing at me about wearing a coordinating pattern with my friend. I'm like, no, that's what groups of people do. So we wore the Avena and the Instant Crush. And actually, I'll show you the last one that we wore there. Let's see, do I have it? Oh, it's the Framed Sweater by Andrea Mowry. So it was the official, Rhinebeck sweater of the Andrea Mowry's knit along. She does this every year, and I actually never went before, but I have knit the pattern along with the knit alongs. And but this is the first year I was able to make it and go. I have to admit that when I saw it, I was just not that happy about it, because I always heard from people who went to Rhinebeck that it can be hot, and I run hot. So when I saw it, and it's, color work, held double, worsted, I believe, held double. I just thought it was going to be too hot, and it was. I had to take it off after a couple of hours, but then anybody who participates in that knit along and knits this as their Rhinebeck sweater, wears it. We get together and take a picture. And so this was, I had to start it in August when the pattern is released, to get it done by mid-October because of Rhinebeck. So my friend and I also did this. And so this was also Farmer's Daughter, but I was supposed to use it with the navy that I put in my Instant Crush for a different pattern completely. So this is Farmer's Daughter. Let's see. I think it's called Dream to Remember. And I held it double because this is like a fingering to decay sport. So I held it double. And then I used it with Spin Cycle is the color work. And then the white is Lamb and Kid. Called Old Shale. Definitely, yeah, it's the main color, Old Shale. Let's see. And this one was meant to just have the pattern done, once through the sleeve. So I just did follow it, but you can see despite it being like a very warm sweater, it was meant to be, 3/4 length again. But I did like the short rows that made this taller in the back, shorter in the front. So it's one of the few that I can actually see the difference when I'm putting it on. Another way that I could tell the difference is I made a mistake right here. You could tell because the inner triangle of the pattern is so small. I had to come and add some stitches to give it some more color there. So that's how I can tell that that's in the back. Luckily, not in the front. But the Spin Cycle colorways, you can see, it goes from yellow, light blue, lavender. You never know what you're going to get with Spin Cycle. Pink. So my husband bought me this Spin Cycle a long time ago. I've had it in my stash, and I finally had an opportunity to use it. And it is over dyed. It's under the color over dyed and sugar high. So that was my official Rhinebeck sweater that is to be worn on Saturday of the Rhinebeck weekend. Okay, so my last three. This is the Holly sweater. I bought the yarn at Flock Festival and got to meet the dyers of Hazel Knit that I originally bought in Washington, D.C. And used. So I was looking for a beautiful green, red, and white or light beige cream through the whole flock. It was, over 50 vendors, and didn't really see what I wanted. Had some options, but finally a hazel knit was kind of toward the back, and I saw these, and it was perfect. So I actually saw this. This has been in my queue for about a year. I saw it on a YouTube video from a different YouTuber, and she was just going through. Actually, I know who it was. It was the Twins That Knit. One of the twins. That's their name of their podcast. Rachel and Jessica. One of them did this pattern as their Christmas sweater, I believe last year. So I went in, bought the pattern, and started it soon after August to get it done by Christmas. And I was able to get it done before I wanted to start wearing it in December. So I have been wearing it this month. And again, you could see where I increased. So I got to learn that this year, how to do it better. You could see all the increases. But when you have it on, you can't hardly see it, at least with that's not where my eyes go when you have it on. So, and this is made out of DK. Let's see. The main color is Naked, Nekkid. Green is Ponderosa, and the red is Ruby Love. All done in DK. So this, I think, is more advanced color work because you do have to use, through this whole section, 3 colors. And, I find tension always hard in my color work. And so when you're dealing with 3, it can definitely be rougher. I wouldn't recommend this for a first time color work, but maybe the second or the third, it's not definitely such a short amount, not that bad. This is the Home Sweater by Kadri. My husband had bought this yarn for me for holiday or birthday or something. It is the La Bien-Aimée. It is the super sock held with Kumo Suri. In both the color is Violet Amethyst. So I just wanted a simple to really show off the yarn. I really love how all the different, did pool here. Became very stripy on the bottom, but that's just what hand-dyed yarns do. So, but I think the overall effect with my 2 favorite colors, purple and pink, is just makes it so pretty. Oh, and so these are so soft. It's merino super sock, and the Suri. I find Suri is a little bit less itchy than mohair. Okay, last one. So I had knit this sweater previously in years back, and I was trying to find a pattern similar. I believe it's called like the buffalo sweater, and it uses boucle. It uses boucle and then the same color as in the ribbing all the way around. But I think that was just had like big balloon sleeves and things that I feel like do not look good on me. So I just went and knitted the No Frill Sweater by Petite Knit. So this is in Explore Knits and Fibers, and the colorways of both their Rockies DK and their Boucle is Woodruff. So they consider this a DK, and it is, I did note I made a size 6. For the home sweater, it was a size 5. On the home sweater, a size 5 is 1, 2, 3, the extra large, which corresponds to a 51-inch bust. So you can see I always do, between 48 and 52. And I have to say that I am not looking forward to knitting in the future with boucle. It just really catches all the time. You got all this kind of strands that catch, and then you have to kind of slip them off and redo it. But it's a raglan sweater. And this is the color Woodruff. And it's so cozy. And I just finished it within the last couple of weeks. And it's worth knitting something in boucle, but I don't see myself knitting with it a whole lot in the future. But I'm glad I did have at least one finished object, the product of it, because sure enough, it is as soft as it looks. Okay, I hope you guys made it to the end. This is my first one. Please leave comments on what you think I could do better, or I'm really considering doing the video on Rhinebeck like I initially wanted, but in the future I will just be doing regular podcast style. What am I wearing? What finished objects, what I'm working on, acquisitions, my favorite part. I do think knitting and collecting yarn are two different hobbies. They do work together, but they're different, and I just love buying yarn. I'm a garment knitter, so I always just buy, sweater quantities, and just stick it up there with hope to using it one day. So you guys have a great day. Bye.